Sure, yeah, a lot is happening. Jacob Zuma and the MK party accused of taking 20 men to Russia for military training, which now they have been deployed to a combat zone with Ukraine. I don't know how truthful is this, but there is more in the story since the Secretary General of the AC, Mbalula, has touched on the matter and said that according to
there are South Africans trapped there. We have issued a statement and we want to reiterate that we want to know who sent them there. What were they doing there? Were they mercenaries and all of that? President and government, we have said as the ANC, they must leave no stone unturned to get to the bottom of these 17 people whom it is rumored that they were 20. It means about 3 people have died there. Children, fathers of children have been dispatched to a war zone by somebody. I hear now another rumor that it is MK party. So I don't want to be sued. I hear from you, the media, today, News 24, that it is rumored that these people were sent there by Zuma. So I don't know. But Zuma disappeared in the country. I don't know whether he was in the war zone and then he came back singing and very energetic.
They have announced that the 17 men that are believed to be there in Russia are connected and are the members of the MK party and were sent by Jacob Zuma for military training. How true is that? You see now, if Jacob Zuma, this is found to be the truth, if Jacob Zuma have done this, it means Jacob Zuma now he is destroying himself because the ANC, the DA, the GNU has put Jacob Zuma here. See here, just in the tip here. Any mistake that Jacob Zuma does, they will come after him. Stellenbosch, they have kept Jacob Zuma so very close. They are eyeing Jacob Zuma. One mistake, Jacob Zuma will be taken down. You know what? I don't know how it does this, but it seems to be more relevant than the yesterday's newspaper. That is Jacob Zuma to you. So Mbalula did give some hints connecting that with Jacob Zuma. Did signify to say that the rumor has it that the 17 men there, which are there in Russia fighting with Ukraine, are the members of the MK party or were sent by Jacob Zuma for training. And it is reported that 3 of them have went missing. Supposedly that there's high chance that they have died already. So Mbalula said something very interesting about this, saying that the South African government is making some investigation concerning the matter because the 17 men has called out and reached out to the South African presidency for help for them to intervene or to come back home safety. And now here is where now it gets interesting. It is reported that there is a letter that was written by Jacob Zuma, a secret letter that Jacob Zuma wrote to the Russian authorities about putting these young men to the front lines, crying sign for to say that the men were never sent there for combat, but they were sent there for training. Training for what? Sure. It is reported that no, the MK party, Jacob Zuma sent these young men so that some of them, they will promise that they are getting trained to be some bodyguards. Some were told that they are getting trained so that they will get more experience in terms of being in the military, right? Because you know the Russia-Ukraine war has been going on for years and continuously right? And these things are happening there. So what is happening with this story? So very interesting. Let us start here. 17 South African men are fighting for their lives on the front lines of the war in Ukraine after they were sent to Russia by Jacob Zuma's MK party for what they believe was training to become bodyguards. Does the story have anything to do with Jacob Zuma, or is just fabricated? The MK party, led by former President Jacob Zuma, faces serious accusation of deceiving 17 South African men into joining Russian forces in the ongoing Ukraine conflict. So this was so very interesting. This scandal has sparked outrage, with families pleading for help and South African government stepping in to address to the crisis. As details emerge from leaked documents and distress calls, questions about the party's motives and Zuma's direct involvement. So Mbalula did out to say that in the video that you just saw now, that these are now 17 young men are calling for the SA government to come to their aid and to help them. So interestingly, the allegations are faced amid growing concerns over the South African being lured into foreign wars, highlighting vulnerabilities like high youth unemployment and false job promises. With the story breaking on 10 November 2025, it has dominated headlines in social media, drawing comparison to past mercenary recruitment. The recruitment process and deceptive promises. The men aged between 20 to 39 were reportedly approached by the MK party networks with offers of lucrative employment contracts for security training. They believed they were heading to Russia to learn bodyguard skills, potentially to protect party officials. Families described how the recruits were instructed to pack lightly, just passport and jackets, suggesting a short professional trip, as if it was just an in and out short trip. On 9 July 2025, the group flew to Russia via Dubai, excited about the opportunity amid South Africa's 45% youth unemployment rate. However, upon arrival, their phones were confiscated, cutting off communication. Days later, they learned the truth. They were being drafted into combat. Brief training followed just 3 weeks before they were put then on the Russian uniforms, loaded into trucks and sent to their front lines. Witness account paint a harrowing picture, living underground in holes, dodging constant drone strikes, and facing the elite of war without proper preparation. They were placed in trucks and taken to the bush. When they stayed underground in holes and constant drone activities, one report detailed the men now fear for their lives, with some sending SOS messages to the loved ones back home, even to the government. So 17 men remain stranded in Ukraine war-torn Donbas region, fighting alongside Russian forces. At least 3 may have died, according to the unconfirmed rumors. Through official numbers stick to 17 survivors. They have appealed directly to President Cyril Ramaphosa for rescue, describing how they were doomed into signing inferior contracts under misleading circumstances. Ramaphosa's office confirmed received the distress calls condemning the exploitation of young people into mercenary roles. Diplomatic efforts are underway to repatriate them, with the government prioritizing their safe return over immediate persecution under South African law. Joining foreign armies without permission can lead up to 10 years in prison, but officials are focusing on humanitarian aspects for now. So very interesting. So these news are so very shocking, because no one would have expected this to happen. That there are South Africans dying there in Ukraine for the war that is not even for us. And I don't know how truthful is this to say that Zuma is linked with this, but there's this letter which has been leaked, which that now it is believed that it is Jacob Zuma, right, according to the letter, but we haven't seen anything now linking Jacob Zuma to this letter. These young men filled with idealism, but possessing no prior military experience, were apparently given only 3 weeks of training. Here's the letter. It goes like this. Today, I received a most alarming communication for them, stating that they are being deployed directly to combative zone. So this letter comes from Jacob Zuma now to the Russian authorities, explaining the process to say that this is not what we signed up for. We respectfully and with the greatest camaraderie request your immediate intervention to investigate the possibility of cancelling their current infantry contracts, which were signed under patently misleading circumstances. The letter continued. The gravity of this situation is compounded by the fact that the Western media actors have already made contact with our party, which now is the MK party, seeking to create a damaging internal scandal from the misunderstanding. We are currently suppressing this information, but our ability to do so is limited and time is critically short, the letter stated. So this letter has no letterhead, has no DNA of connecting it with Jacob Zuma. It's just a paragraph that is written, which it has the headline to say that it was written by Jacob Zuma, right, saying or advising the Russian counterparts of saying that they will need to keep this on the low because it is damaging to the party's reputation. How many of us feel as if the LK party has been targeted and been sabotaged here? What if it is the GNU that sent these people and now they're accusing the MK party because of the closeness, the friendship, and the partnership that Jacob Zuma have with Vladimir Putin? Remember that Jacob Zuma, before he went to Burkina Faso, remember that Jacob Zuma did go to Russia secretly and met with Vladimir Putin, because Jacob Zuma and Vladimir Putin, they are so close. They are super close like that. I mean, these two, they like each other like that. And seems like there are some people, especially from the West, and those who have aligned themselves with the West, who does not like this partnership of South Africa being part of BRICS because of Jacob Zuma and the closest ties that Jacob Zuma have with Vladimir Putin. Because it is said, by the way, that one of the things that Jacob Zuma said to Abraham Traore is that he will even push for Burkina Faso to be part of BRICS, because the BRICS nation better hear Jacob Zuma, as he was the mastermind here in Africa to say that the African countries must go under BRICS and just deny everything from the West, right? So we don't know. The South African government, they are saying that they are investigating these things, and they will just be giving the update pretty much soon. And the MK party, be rest assured that it will respond about this allegation. Then you will hear on what they have for us, whether this is truth or these were just false allegations from, again, the media houses. What to take on this? Please leave a comment on the section below, and you can press the subscribe button, and don't forget that you are supporting us. Remember, don't pay anything. It's free of charge like that. Let us meet on the next video, and I'm out.